I think one thing that does differentiate us from many other companies, the lifestyle companies, if you will, is that we actually have legitimate assets, large scale, high grades. In the cases where we have tested those targets, we've had fantastic success. You know, a gram over 90 meters type thing. And we've advanced the project to the point now where in 2020 we can really be much more aggressive, chasing these targets.
Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We're here today with Matthew Lennox-King. He's the CEO of Contact Gold. How are you, Matthew?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Two Matthews in the room.
It's
dangerous.
Absolutely.
Right, so you're here for the one-to-one conference.
I am, yeah.
In London. What are you hoping to achieve?
Essentially increase the awareness profile of the company. So we're still a relatively new business. We've been around for 2 years. And while we have marketed somewhat in Europe, we're still relatively unknown.
Right,
And,
okay.
It's really for the profile.
Have you got investors over here?
We do. Rougher, so that one of the big funds here
Family
in the city,
office,
they own about 10% of the company.
Okay, very good.
And
how did that come about?
So I've known John Wong, the PM, there for quite a long time.
Yep.
And really he's followed the team, he's followed some of the things that we've done in the past, and was looking for more Nevada gold exposure. Yeah.
Okay, so he's back in the jockey.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so why don't we kick off 1 minute summary for people new to the story and we'll take it from there.
Sure thing. So as I just said, Contact is a relatively new company. We were founded in the middle of 2017 based on a relatively large deal with a big mining focused private equity group out of Toronto. So we brought the team and the capital, they brought the asset. They remain our 38% backer. And we're 100% focused on Nevada and high grade oxide gold, essentially at surface.
Right, okay. So you've been at it 2 years?
We have.
What have you managed to achieve?
We have managed to make some very high quality oxide gold discoveries. We've been able to consolidate a land position in excess of 100 square kilometers right in the heart of Nevada's Carlin Trend. So call it ground zero for gold exploration and production in Nevada. We've been able to really round out our shareholder base to where we have a number of both private equity and traditional buy-side institutions backing us for the longer term.
Okay, but so give me an understanding of what your plan is. What's the business plan here, and how are you going to deliver it? Because 2 years, 10 million market cap. I want to know what's going to make this thing start moving, start ticking.
Yeah, absolutely. So really, when we look at the exploration space, when we look at the gold business, we see a looming lack of supply. We see a lack of high quality advanced projects. We know that with the team and the asset base we have, while still exploration stage, that we have the ability to take something that is, yes, relatively early stage, make discoveries, develop those into resources, and high quality ones at that.
Right.
With the backers or the partners we have, be it Waterton or some of the funds and our own capital, we have the ability to both finance, which is obviously key, and drive those discoveries and deposits forward.
So how much cash have you got at the moment?
We're currently about 1.2 million Canadian. Current shareholders equate for roughly 65%, or chunky shareholders equate for about 65% of current issued and outstanding.
You expect them to follow their money?
We do. We do. Yeah, that's certainly been the pattern and certainly been their intention.
So again, they come back to this model thing. It's a fairly kind of conventional plan you've
Correct.
got there, right?
It is.
You're drilling, building out a resource. Hopefully, the market reacts to that. Go raise some more money. That's the model.
Simply put, yeah.
Right.
There's nothing revolutionary there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely nothing revolutionary there. So why would people pay attention to your story versus there are a lot of gold stories following a similar pattern, right? So why should people pay attention to you?
Sure thing. And it's a great question. And I'll preface my answer by saying I agree there are far too many gold companies out there. Certainly far too many gold exploration companies.
Yeah.
And far too many Canadian gold exploration companies.
There's a lot.
There are a lot. There are hundreds. Nearly thousands. So for us, and why I think someone would be inclined or should invest in Contact Gold, one is the track record of the team, right? So a number of us come back from the Frontier Gold lineage, if you will. So that was the discovery and ultimate sale of the company to Newmont back in 2011. We have George Solomus of Integra Gold fame now, doing an exceptional job at Integra Resources. Our chairman is John Dorward, who has a very long track record.
Rocks Gold.
Yeah, Rocks Gold.
Yeah, we know.
Right, of
We
not
like that
only,
story.
it's a great story.
Yeah.
Not only creating value through transactions, but also building a high margin mine that prints cash.
Okay, so you got a good team.
Yeah, we've got a great team.
And I know it's point one, and you'll get onto some more in a second,
Yes.
but you don't always hit it out of the park. So you know there must be more to it than that.
Sure. And so part of it's the team, part of it's the assets.
Right.
So we're in Nevada. We're not in, I know we're singing the praises of Rocks Gold, but we're not in Burkina Faso. We're not in Mexico. We're not in Chile, Peru, Argentina. So there is that really that stability.
Right.
There is logical, systematic permitting in place, and a real understanding and need for both exploration, but also mining development. So sort of the cultural aspect is there, the regulatory aspect is there, coupled with really prospective geology. So even though gold mining has been taking place in Nevada really for well over 100 years, they've produced well over 200 million ounces, there are still really meaningful discoveries being made to this day. And that's not 1 million ounces, that's 5, 10, 15 million ounces.
Right.
And those are made by seniors and juniors alike.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Well, we've already gotten started, right? So we have the team, but on those large land positions that we have, sort of 100 plus kilometers, square kilometers, I beg your pardon, we've taken our targeting methodology, which is not revolutionary, but it's very systematic, it's very comprehensive, to really mitigate the risk up front. So instead of taking a rock sample and saying, we're going to drill here, we've done extensive mapping campaigns, structural campaigns, multiple geophysical campaigns, looking so far as age dating of rocks through fossil analysis, and all the rest of it. So really building up the weights of evidence. And in the cases where we have tested those targets, we've had fantastic success. You know, a gram over 90 meters type thing.
Okay.
So we've seen that this is very effective, and we've advanced the project to the point now where in 2020 we can really be much more aggressive, chasing these targets.
Okay, so I want to come back to the money side of things.
Because
it's for companies of your size, it's all about the money.
Of course it is.
Always.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So you've kind of got your 65% of people holding a lot of big positions here. So that you assume they're going to follow their money, right? So do you think the things that you've just told me are enough to get the rest of the market interested in financing you? Are you quietly confident that come Q1 you're going to raise your $5-6 million bucks?
Yes.
You are?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Really through really the extensive marketing that we have done.
Right.
So while we are small, while we are new, myself, the rest of the board, management, we do have those deep relationships on the investing side. Institutional. Right. To run our business, we're a little bit over $1 million Canadian per annum. So that's listing fees, auditors, legal fees, all the rest of it. So it's quite lean, quite mean, certainly in this day and age. So hypothetically, a $6 million Canadian raise, that equates to roughly 15,000 meters of drilling at the asset level, allows us to push through initial resources, allows us to test some of those very large scale targets as well. Ultimately, that results in discovery. But
so a lot of it's going back in the ground.
Absolutely.
At the end of which you have a resource, and then you go and raise some more money. So just talk about this, come back to this $1 million again. So how do you guys remunerate yourselves? How do you pay yourselves? How confident are you about what you're getting into?
Yeah, so myself, I'll answer the question a slightly different way, right? Okay. So our directors get no cash remuneration.
Great.
Right, so they get DSUs.
Fantastic. Okay.
Management,
explain to people what DSU is.
Yeah, so director share units or direct share units. So nothing trades hands beyond a piece of paper until the director leaves the company.
Okay. Right. I like that.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. It means that more capital stays in the company.
Yeah.
As management, we draw salary.
Right.
Though arguably, I have been paying my own salary for the last 2.5 years.
How do you work that out?
In our go public round, which was done $1 per share in mid-2017, I put over $1 million Canadian of my own capital in. Right. At that time.
Well, how much are you paying yourself now?
I have a ways to go before I draw down that $1 million. Let's put it that way.
Okay, people can look it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, and the other directors as well, are they doing something similar? Have they put money in?
Yeah, everyone's put in.
Right.
Everyone's put in. So we raised our initial capital at $1 per share in 2017.
Right.
Everyone on the team put in at that point in time. Earlier this year, we raised 6.85 Canadian.
Right.
And most of us actually played or participated above our pro rata in those financings as well.
Okay. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
But because I think it's a topic which shareholders for junior companies, when it's going great, no one really cares. But
Correct.
for small companies with small market caps with no revenue, people are very interested in how the directors pay themselves.
For sure.
Right. So it's important to be sort of open about that. Okay. So, and I think you've answered that. I think you've answered. Maybe I should ask you again. So why should people be looking at you versus all the other thousands of Canadian? I want you to try and maybe answer it from a different way. So, what's the future look like for you that you can give people a surety or confidence over that they're not seeing at the moment?
Not to compare us to the lifestyle companies, perhaps. But if we look at some of the bits of workflow or milestones that we have coming down the pipe for Contact Gold. So our principal asset is Pony Creek. So it's right on the Carlin Trend. It's next to a company called Gold Standard Ventures that I'm sure a number of both you and the ultimate viewers will be familiar with. So it's got a fantastic address. We will, within the month, have our major exploration permit, which is called the Plan of Operations. That'll ultimately give us 165 acres of what they call disturbance, meaning drill pad building, road building, which ultimately gives us the ability to get out and test all these targets that we're very excited about, but also push the boundaries of the deposits that exist on the ground already. We also have a secondary asset called Green Springs, which is relatively new to the company. It has a much higher grade profile than Pony Creek does. Looking at grades between 1 and 5 grams per ton, oxide gold in the very shallow environment to 0 to 50 meters depth, over big widths, 20, 30, 40, 50 meters type thing. So I think one thing that does differentiate us from many other companies, the lifestyle companies, if you will, is that we actually have legitimate assets, large scale, high grades, and the ability, not the guarantee, but the ability, the potential to deliver very large and or high grade deposits.
I mean, essentially, I'd say a lot of CEOs would answer that question in the same way. Okay.
Sure.
Whether they have or haven't.
Yes.
Right. Got that. So it's difficult to stand out from that white noise environment. So I do buy the track record. There's some great names there of people who, and I've particularly taken by John Dorwood, the model that he employed there, because when I compare it to people around him who've done it a different way, with very different valuations and very different results, I think that's smart. So I mean, how much input do those? I know they're on the board, but they're not active on a daily basis. So how do you engage with them? Yeah,
absolutely. So those guys are, while they are on the board, and they're certainly not active management, they're very much a part of the team. So rather than being in the granular day-to-day, it's what are the overall thematics? What's our overall strategy? Right? So how do we take essentially the raw modeling clay that are these exploration assets, ones that we really like, but how do we actually take those and form them into something that's going to create value down the road?
So that's the conversation I'm interested in. What does that sound like when you talk at the end of each month or however often you talk?
Well, absolutely. So I speak to John, let's say once, twice a week, depending on what's going on. So we've worked together for many years at this point in time. Really think it all comes down to having multiple exit opportunities. Even at an early stage, you need to identify, at the end of the day, it's very rare for someone to do what Roxgold's done. Take an exploration asset, drill it out, permit it, develop it, turn it into a high margin mine. That almost never happens, right? So what are the other options on the table? One is outright failure.
Right. Start with the positives.
Right. So that's obviously not an option.
Yeah.
And then the other is, do you become part of a wider consolidation play?
Right.
Right. There's always the interest in Nevada assets from the mid-tiers, the majors,
Absolutely.
even larger exploration groups who are looking to round out a property position. There is the go it alone with the Rossgold model, or ultimately there's an exit like Integra or Frontier experienced, where you have the continued sustained success on the ground, which creates both competition in the market, but amongst the larger producing companies, and you go out in a blaze of glory, right? But it's how do you make the decisions on the project so that you keep all those options alive?
Yeah. So how are you keeping them alive? Because I know you're going to get a bit of money, and that like I say, that changes a lot of things. Gives you a bit more optionality here. I mean, and it's too early to talk about other M&A or anything like that, but you must be looking around you and seeing what's happening there in the marketplace. And there's a lot of juniors struggling to get cash.
Yes, absolutely.
Get it. There's some good assets which are stranded in a way financially.
Yep.
So I guess what you're saying is one of our unique propositions is we feel we can get the cash to allow us to do the things that we're planning to do. Right.
I would say that is a bit of a differentiator.
Yeah.
One thing we were very focused on out of the gate with the company was, what does the shareholder base look like?
Yeah.
Rather than targeting XYZ hedge fund out of Toronto or New York who's going to come in, do a fancy trade and be gone.
Yeah.
We want people who have a multi-year plan, who have a multi-year understanding of exploration, and that it's not always a linear progression.
Fascinating. Matthew,
thank you.
That's a really good introduction to the story. I like it. I like the team. Great team there. I want to see how you raise this money.
Thank you.
And then what you do with it. But you stay in touch. Let us know how you get
Absolutely.
on. It's fascinating, the right part of the world. So we wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, please click the button in the corner of the screen to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also catch us on our website, cruxinvestor.com, and Cruxcast, our podcast series. Plus, most days you can catch us on LinkedIn and Twitter. We'd love getting your feedback, so please keep that coming, and we'll speak to you again soon.